Joe Ressinell with the front line with Joe and Joe. Once again, let us go into the breach. A Canadian Human Rights Commission report that was published in June of 2022 has suggested that the Canadian government should appropriate the private property of landowners who violate human rights, and that they should also ban such landlords from private lending. This should terrify you. This type of legislation should terrify you. What do you mean by violate human rights? I think that's fairly broad, and that could be opened to many different interpretations. Once again, that should terrify you. And just so you remember, last June, in response to the questions about this legislation, which would allow the government to seize private property owned by Russians in Canada, Trudeau's Minister of Justice, David Lametti, remarked, you don't have an absolute right to own private property in Canada. I'm going to repeat that. Trudeau's Minister of Justice, David Lametti, remarked, you don't have an absolute right to own private property in Canada. Once again, that should terrify you. Just a reminder to all our Canadian friends, everything that has been done in history, mostly that has harmed people and violated human rights, has been legal. Abortion, rounding up Jews, what Stalin did, all of which was legal. Abortion is still legal, and we kill innocent life. To say publicly that you don't have an absolute right to own private property in Canada should terrify you, and the door is now open. They're saying it, and they say if a landlord violates human rights, well, let's just say you believe in traditional marriage. You're an Orthodox Jew, and you believe in traditional marriage, and basically the government says you're violating human rights because we believe in same-sex marriage and you don't. So what are you going to do? Are you going to say that Orthodox Jews can't own private property because they're violating human rights? It gives the government an excuse to take their property, take their temples, take their land, take their homes. Does that sound equitable? That is a horrifying statement. And Canadians need to open their eyes to these type of things. You see, I blame the regular Canadian that supports Trudeau. The establishment person, I could see, because bottom line is they benefit either way. But if you're a regular working class Canadian and you're supporting Justin Trudeau and this type of rhetoric, I'll be honest with you, you got to really start thinking about what you're voting for, because the next person they're coming for is you.